welcome back to another SolidWorks video. Today we are going to get to do a pretty fun project, which is we're going to make a 2x4 Lego brick using SolidWorks. This is pretty simple, as we'll see, and we're going to go ahead and just jump in. We'll add our own little flares, but this can be pretty fun. So I'm going to reference this as we go along. So I'll be pulling it up and down just so it's out of the way, but so we can use all the measurements. And just for reference, this photo came from Google. If you Google 2x4 Lego piece dimensions, it'll pop this up. That's just where I found it. Very easy to find, and all of these dimensions are already in millimeters, which is perfect for us. So before we actually look at any of these dimensions, let's walk through how to open up a SolidWorks document again. So here's the page. If you open SolidWorks for the first time, you'll be greeted with this. Otherwise, press the paper. We're going to start with a part, because this is just going to be part. We can hit OK here. And this is going to put us into a part. As make sure we can look down in the bottom right here, mmgs, millimeters, grams, seconds, which is what we want to be in. And we are looking good to go. So let's go ahead. I'm going to bring up that picture again. And let's look at the basic dimensions. So you want to look at the larger dimensions and sort of work to the smaller dimensions. What I mean by that is let's look at the outer shape. So let's look at this rectangle first. So as we can see, it's 31.8 by 15.8. So let's go ahead and do a sketch. I'm going to do it on the top plane, and I'm going to change this to a center point rectangle at the drop down menu and just pull it out. Now I can come up here to Smart Dimension, pick the top, and like it was in the picture, 31.8 and 15.8 the other direction. And if we go back to our photo, we can see our total height over here in the top right image here is 9.6 millimeters. So let's go ahead and go to Features and Extrude and just make that 9.6. Wonderful. So now that we have that, let's look at our image again and see what is in here. The thing I see, right, is that there is a cutout in the middle here, right? The inside's hollow, so it can all fit together. So in order to make this, we see that the edges are 1.2 millimeters from the edge, and there's a space of 1 millimeter from the top here. So we can just assume for this that the 1.2 is on every side here. So I'm going to go back to SolidWorks, click on Sketch, hit the Sketch button, choose the bottom plane here, and let's go ahead and use our offset entities again. So we know that it's 1.2, and let's go ahead and select every single line that we want. And we can hit the check mark there, and there we have our box. Now we can extrude, cut that out, but instead of 9.6, we know there is 1 millimeter left at the bottom, so we can change this simply to 8.6. And if we do that, now we can look in, and there we go. We have our hollow rectangular box here. So let's look now. What is the next defining feature of this? And that would be these top studs up here. So let's see if we can see the dimensions in this left picture. We see that they have a 4.8 millimeter diameter. So let's go ahead and make one sketch over here. I'm just going to place one. We'll dimension these where they need to go later. So I'm going to dimension this to be 4.8 in diameter. Switching back to the picture, we can see here that it is 3.9 in either direction off of this corner. So from the center here to here, 3.9, and from the center here to the right hand edge is also 3.9. Now, like we have similarly done in past videos, the best thing for us to do next would be to create a linear sketch pattern. As we can see here, all of these are 8 millimeters apart in both directions. So let's go ahead and use our linear sketch pattern up here. X direction, let's go down to entity to pattern down here and click on our circle. That way it lets us see what we're doing. We need 2 rows in the Y direction. Let's switch the direction by clicking this button on the left hand right under direction 2. We want 2 rows, but we want 4 columns. So let's make that 4. And instead of 10, we know we want 8 and 8 for either direction. And we could hit that check mark, and there we go. So now let's look at how far we need to extrude these. If we look down at the top right here, we see that they need to be extruded 1.8 millimeters. So let's go to Feature, Extrude, and extrude them 1.8 millimeters. And there we go. That's definitely looking a lot more like a Lego brick now, which is looking pretty good. So next, let's go ahead and make this little support piece in the middle. As we can see, it's 0.8 across, and it is 6.3 from the bottom. We can assume that it's centered in both directions. So I'm going to come up to Sketch, Sketch, click on the bottom here, and I'm just going to do this with a center point rectangle again, just touching the edge there when it highlights. Come up to Smart Dimension. We know this is 0.8, and that's all that needs to be done there. And I forgot the dimension, so let's look back. 6.3. Let's go ahead and Feature, Extrude, and extrude that 6.3. And there we go. We have that support bar, so that'll add some integrity to our piece like real Lego pieces do. Now, as you can see, our piece is looking pretty good, standard sort of Lego piece, but I want you to go ahead, and I'm going to show this here. Hold with me while I edit this, but I want you to go ahead and make these holes that are at the bottom of the pieces. So each of those studs has a little bit of material taken out right here. I want you to go ahead and pause the video here, look at the dimensions. Like I said, you can look up Lego brick dimensions. It'll pull this up, but you have all the dimensions you should need in this picture. I will pull up this picture as well, because this will also help you. So you are making these holes as you see here, and I want you to pause and go ahead and try that, and then we'll come back and do them together. Alright, hopefully you have succeeded in making your own interior holes there. If not, let's go ahead and figure out how we can best do this. So I'm going to go back. If we see from this picture right here, it's 2.6 in diameter. We know it's on the bottom here, so let's go ahead and sketch on the bottom. And I'm just going to make a, over here, circle, dimension that to be 2.6 millimeters. And then we know, because we centered it before, that the circle should be centered 3.9 from each of these outer corners. So, and we can check that by rotating up. If we look at the top, it looks perfectly like it is aligned there. So let's go ahead and do a linear sketch pattern once again. Entities to pattern is this circle. Basically the same as what we did last time. You might have to flip the directions around a little bit, but it should all be looking pretty good. 8 millimeters, 8 millimeters. So those are the same dimensions we had used last time. And then let's look back at the photo, and we see it goes up 1.7 millimeters. So let's cut out 1.7 millimeters. And as we can see, that cut all the way through. Let's go back. It did not read what I had put. There we go. always make sure that everything looks good. And there we go. That is our Lego piece as we see it here. If you want a more challenge, you can add in these circles here at the bottom. I'm not going to cover that. I'm going to talk about something else here. But if you want a little bit extra challenge, I recommend going and doing that as it would be helpful. The next thing I would want to show you is let's go ahead and do something sort of fun. So I'm going to sketch here on this side, and I am going to select this text button here in the sketch. It's going to ask for a curve. Just put it on this bottom curve, and I am going to type out IoT class 2025. And as you can see, it is appears here. So this is one cool thing. Let's go ahead and just remove the 2025 because that's going to mess me up if I do it that way. But as you can see, it's down here. We can move things around, make it go down, flip it up. You can do a lot of different things with text. I'm going to do this. I'm going to switch this edge to the top actually, just because it's going to get messy if not. So there we can see it's in the center there. And the cool thing about this, I'm going to go ahead and instead of using document font, I'm going to change the font to 4 millimeters just to make it a little bit bigger. And then a cool thing here, if I hit the check mark here, you can see it's actually becomes sketch features. So I can come over to features, extrude, cut, and as you can see, it cuts into our surface there. And I'm just going to make it 1.2 so it doesn't cut all the way through. And there we go. As you can see, it's sort of a little cutout. You can put your name. You can do a lot of stuff. We'll do some more with this text later on. One thing is, if you do your name, make sure you do it in a way that you connect these letters, because obviously the middle of this A is going to fall out if you do it. So you might have to edit it a little bit, but I will leave that up to you to do. So this is the basics. You have some other challenges. If you want to go ahead and add these big circles at the bottom, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, that is the end of this lesson. Thank you.